Guys, you have no idea how much prep I had to do, how much digging and work I had to put in to make this segment possible. I genuinely thought it wasn't going to happen because, well, the video from Steven Crowder we're about to cover was so bad, so racist and egregious, at least the thumbnail was, good God, that this is what ended up happening to it. I managed to find a direct link to the video because I couldn't find it myself after, seeing it was online a couple days ago. And, here we are. Mind you, Crowder did not get a strike for this, and if I end up getting a strike for it, well, there's just another example of YouTube's blatant favoritism towards conservative figures. Crowder in particular. For those who don't know, Crowder was, demonetized for a really racist bit he did once on his stream, and Susan, may the soil rest heavy upon her, decided to personally remonetize her, Steven Crowder after Ben Shapiro called her on her personal phone, because apparently they had each other's phone numbers and were personal friends, called her, quote-unquote, chewed her out, and then they remonetized and depenalized Steven Crowder. Unfortunately, depenalized does not mean the funny thing you guys would hope it means. Anyway, the video we're going to be covering was from this, it was a segment from his live stream, uploaded to Crowder Bits, and since deleted, or I should say taken down by YouTube, with no further disciplinary action, titled Cringe! Kamala cosplays as a black candidate. And then they put her here, and it appears that they have, done some sort of thing here to, like, put Kamala in blackface. Ironically, I guess that's be the best way to describe it. I guess that's what they're trying to make. The joke is that she is, it's like a filter or something. The joke is that, like, she is now doing blackface and pretending to be black. That's the talking point from the conservatives, including Donald Trump, who recently said that she's only recently started pretending to be black. And then on top of that, they do a lot of there's been a lot of touch-ups done to her here. But some that stand out the most are the marijuana sticking out of her mouth, the marijuanas, because famously, black people are the only demographic that smoke weed. Famously, the only people that smoke weed. No one else smokes weed, actually. There's no stats or, like, lived experience you could pull from to tell you that, like, everyone smokes weed. It's totally, weed is just a black people thing. Yeah, absolutely. And, like, ridiculously, comically oversized gold chains that have been poorly photoshopped in. It's really bad. It's really bad. But hey, you know what we did get? You know what we do have that actually has saved us here? We have the Wayback Machine. The Wayback Machine, I don't know why the title of the video here, I don't know why it's displaying as Farscape by Jim Henson streaming now. I think that's a song. I think Jim Henson's, like, I'm pretty sure that's a music artist, right? I may be wrong, but I don't know. I think this is a display error on the title, but if you look at the tab, it does display as the same title, and I put in the link to the taken down video. I took this, and I pasted it into Wayback Machine, and I ended up getting this. So I think we've got it. I think this guy's, like, saved the video on Wayback Machine, and now we can cover the shit that got him banned. Now, to be fair, I don't think the video itself will end up getting me striked or anything. If anything, showing the thumbnail will. But, all right, guys, let's watch this. Farscape is a TV show. Jim Henson is the Muppets guy. Oh. Well, I have no idea what that reference is then. I took a shot in the dark and I missed hard.
Dose of racism.
They have nothing else other than racism
All right,
and
let's
sexism.
see this.
She was the only reason that I voted for the Biden-Harris ticket to begin with.
There are lies grounded in racism.
And we've seen already an undercurrent of racism.
And I think both...
I love how we're starting this segment of a video that was so racist that it got taken down by YouTube, which they never do anything mean to Crowder anymore because, like, he's a special boy that can do no wrong. Even though YouTube had to take down this video, he starts it with a whole bit about how the left are crazy for calling everybody racist or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're calling Trump racist? They're calling Republicans racist? Well, we'll show you racist. That's pretty much what he did here, I'm guessing.
Trump and J.D. Vance will not be able to help themselves in showing their racism.
The party would be making an historic gamble, betting that a biracial woman can overcome racism.
Don't be on the wrong side of history. Don't find yourself on that lonely side, because you're going to look real crazy over there with Kid Rock.
They have to reduce everything to DEI. Donald Trump has never been elected to
All these
anything.
people are correct.
Sorry, is it just because she's black?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Also,
all these people except this retard in this clip were correct. Not this guy, though.
Sorry.
did that shriveled ladybug say that Donald Trump has never been elected to anything?
Hey, that's election.
Right now.
So we're watching Steven Crowder, so you guys are gonna want to prepare for a lot of really bad attempts at like white, middle-aged, really wealthy white guys pretending to sound black and like almost always from like a low income area. So it's just going to be them like really rich, wealthy, affluent, conservative, racist dudes doing impressions of what they think poor black people sound like. Because they want to make fun of poor black people. They hate poor black people. They really, really do. I genuinely think the poorness is a big factor in what makes them hate them as well, right? Like, a rich black person would probably be better in Crowder's eyes than one who faces financial struggles because they view financial achievement as like a moral tell of... A lot of conservatives view your financial success as like a karmic payback, right? So if you're poor, then surely you must have done something to deserve it, whether you're lazy, a bad person, or, you know, God's punishing you in some way, right? You did something to deserve it, but if you're wealthy and powerful and you're in a really high up position, if you are like a big figure like Steven Crowder, or just someone wealthy and powerful and usually in America, white, then you deserve to be there because, you know, the world is just, because God exists. At least mostly just, these people believe. It's why they argue so much that, like, hierarchy is natural, and, yeah.
They're actually trying to trick you, the media, the legacy media, into believing that Kamala Harris is fully black.
Does she really identify as...
Who is saying that she's fully black? Are they now, like, ceding ground that she is not black? Because the claim from these people is that she's not black and she just started being black. When you're mixed race, black and Indian, you can identify as either when the conversation is relevant to it, you know? Like, if we're having any type of conversation that had a bearing on Indian Americans, right? Then obviously, in that context, Kamala would be able to say, oh, I'm Indian, I have a seat at the table here, I can speak on this discussion, but also being half black, Kamala would have a lot to be able to speak on in regards to racial issues having to do with black people, right? Like, yeah. I hate that he has literally one, he does the same, like, black voice, quote-unquote, bit every time he wants to be racist. Yeah, it's the same voice every time. It's really cringe and really bad.
Is a black woman, or is she more Indian?
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
Definitely Snoop, Tupac.
Just gonna go ahead and let you look at this image in full. Man, Steven Crowder is just not even... Like, I do think that Steven Crowder might be just the worst conservative pundit with a large platform there is. Like, he's very explicit. It's actually wild how big he is and how unanimous he is, while being this openly racist and far right, you know?
You ain't black.
Now,
actually, to be fair, from what I can tell, his numbers are falling off really bad. I think they have been since the video of him abusing his wife came out. I think his numbers have been dropping off since then, because I think even his own fans don't really like that.
That was Joe Biden, not us. We didn't say that.
Just to be clear, I would not advise President Trump to focus on this.
No.
I would not advise politically to focus on her whore kingdom. No. I wouldn't. But this...
Dude, I love how they have to admit even here that this, like, the racism angle against Kamala Harris will not win them the election and will cost them. and advises Trump does not attack Kamala from this angle. I love that. They admit this is a losing point that makes them look bad, but they can't help themselves.
Is not a presidential campaign, and so we like to do it. So, the narrative right now, I told you this was coming, but it's very, very clear. And we have a montage for you, and you can share it on social. Just so you can cut people off at the pass. If you don't allow it to happen in darkness, then it loses all power. The line of attack from everybody and their dog on the left is if you don't vote for Kamala, or if you actively oppose Kamala, if you certainly actively present her shortcomings as a candidate, it's because you hate women. I mean, black.
Okay, so are we really going to pretend like Steven Crowder is honestly and neutrally, unbiasedly explaining Kamala Harris's shortcomings as a candidate? Are we going to hear any real arguments as to her shortcomings as a candidate? Or are they just going to call her a whore, be sexist and racist, and, like, leave it at that? Because that's what they always do. And these guys are especially not going to make arguments. They are only going to make racist, sexist remarks. That's it. Like, it's all they're going to do. So the fact is, yeah, you are racist and sexist if you aren't going to vote for Kamala Harris in November, and you can vote, obviously. I mean, if you can't vote, then, you know. But if you can vote, and you're not going to vote for Kamala Harris, then, yeah, you are a racist and a sexist, or at least an enabler of it, and there's not really much of a difference that I consider differentiating between. Because, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump is outright trying to dismantle the democracy. He's trying to dismantle the sanctity of our elections and their security. He wants to destroy the fundamental things that make America work, even when shitty people are in charge. He wants to dismantle those safeguards, those checks and balances. He's an existential threat to the country as a whole, regardless of your political leanings. There's just no denying it anymore. Like, he's a 30 times and times over felon. He's convicted, or not convicted, but found guilty of sexual assault. This is just an awful, awful person. And if you support him, then you are also an awful person. Hillary was 1,000,000 trillion% right to call his supporters a basket of deplorables. And you know what they did when she did that? They proudly owned it and said, yeah, we are deplorables. And they called themselves the deplorables for like 4 years. Because they love the idea of being the heels.
Black people. I mean, black people. I mean, women. I mean, black people or women. Black women. Half black women. You hate all the people who are women or black or half black.
Many of these attacks are steeped in misogynoir. It's a term that speaks to the unique...
Yeah, to be clear, but mind you, Steven Crowder will tell you that you hate America and want it to burn and die if you vote for Kamala or don't vote for Trump. So he's pretending as though, like, the left, they'll go after you if you say you won't vote for their candidate. Meanwhile, this guy will accuse you of being like a communist who wants to groom kids and destroy America if you don't vote for Trump. So let's not even pretend like... Let's not even pretend like this dude's some neutral. Like, why is he pretending to be neutral? Like, is he trying to appeal to a wider audience all of a sudden? What's happening?
Mix of misogyny and racism faced by black women and are an attempt to other the vice president.
You're gonna look real crazy.
Did I miss the tears? No, you haven't actually. Mind you, this is just a, like, racist meltdown from Steven Crowder and his crew. They are dead scared of what is going to happen this November with the way that things are going with this election, and they are just trying their best to cope about it by having their little, like, let's be racist get-togethers while they drink scotch and smoke cigars, right? Like, they're really, really scared and upset about this line of events, and they are having a racist temper tantrum here. That's all this is.
Being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color.
They may finally have the first female president with Kamala Harris, despite the challenges of sexism and racism.
Kamala Harris right now addressing one of the nation's largest historically black sororities, just as Republicans are introducing racism.
Baby, this is a cultural moment.
Do you think that specifically those demographics are going to be energized?
Dude, Black America is going to elect the fuck out of Kamala Harris. I swear to God. Just like Black America elected the fuck out of Joe Biden in 2020, I think Kamala Harris is gonna get, like, elected the fuck out of by Black America. I think that I think we might get a blue Georgia, and it's going to be because of Black Georgians primarily. That's gonna happen if it does. So thanks in advance. And I honestly think if Michigan ends up swinging to Kamala, it's going to be because of Detroit, which is a pretty high black population city. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that like this election's outcome is pretty much in the hands of Black America, and Black Americans do not want Trump. So let's see how things go. I'm seeing a lot of outpouring of support for Kamala and Tim Walz from like, obviously there's a bit of a bias, but the polling even shows that Black Americans favor them so much more than Trump and Vance. And on top of that, like, there's just so much outspoken support and denouncement of the racism from the Republicans lately. It's just, I feel that it is impossible to ignore the conversation about how racist Trump and his party and campaign are, and how anti-racist, how, like, the opposite of that Kamala and her campaign are. So it's very much going to be one of those, like, let's see how much Trump has pushed it. You know, let's see how much he's pushed it, and if he's pushed it too far on Election Day. I think he's just been too racist. I think he's just been too racist to get away with.
And want to fight back when they hear what are clearly racist tropes.
It really has been panic with a dose of racism. They have nothing else other than racism and sexism.
She was the only reason that I voted for the Biden-Harris ticket to begin with.
Michigan will still go red because a lot of Muslims don't want to vote for Kamala due to the Israel-Palestine shit. Princess Sword, that's just not true. I'm pretty sure polling-wise and statistically, American Muslims support Kamala and Tim Walz overwhelmingly over Trump. You have to remember, like the Israel-Palestine stuff is definitely more of an issue. If you're like a Muslim American, it's probably more adjacent to your like issues that you're voting on in this election. But the fact is, Donald Trump is famous for the like Muslim travel ban. Donald Trump is famous for like the constant demonization of immigrants from Islamic majority countries. Like, he's just, Trump is so bad against Muslim Americans. Like, they're gonna vote for Kamala and Tim in droves. Yeah, Gaza, by the way, is polling as a bottom ticket issue. Exactly. Like, I need you guys to understand that when you look at any polling, Americans do not care about Gaza anymore. They cared for about a year, 6 months maybe, where it was like really affecting the polls and affecting approval ratings. Americans stopped caring. It's been a year. That people can't focus on caring about a thing at large for more than like 6 months to a year. And it was good that it got as much attention as it did for so long. But unfortunately, an issue like that's not happening within America. I mean, even if it was happening in America, I mean, look at how much people are talking about Black Lives Matter compared to the overwhelming support for it during 2020. I really think you guys got to keep in mind that, like, its polling is a very low concern issue in the election. It's not going to affect the outcome, the Israel-Palestine stuff. And on top of that, like, Muslim Americans recognize how much bigger of a threat Trump is to both their lives and the lives of those children and innocent people in Palestine. Like, if you're concerned about the people who are dying in the Gaza Strip at the hands of the IDF, then you sure as fuck don't want Trump winning, because he's vowed to help Israel, quote-unquote, finish the job.
Lies grounded in racism.
And we've seen already an undercurrent of racism.
And I think both Trump and J.D. Vance will not be able to help themselves in showing their racism.
The party would be making an historic gamble, betting that a biracial woman can overcome racism.
Don't be on the wrong side of history. Don't find yourself on that lonely.
Does Steven Crowder not know what biracial means? Because like, most of these clips are referring to her as being biracial or mixed. Like, they're not referring to her. I mean, some of them refer to her as black, which is not even wrong, but, like, could he not have, like, sifted around and found more clips of them not calling her biracial? Because that's just, like, 100% accurate and not even the thing that they're claiming to be the problem, which is, they claim, Kamala, like, pretending to be black.
Side, because you're gonna look real crazy over there with Kid Rock.
What he will do, though, is have his peons across social media present a level of racism that we have not seen in this country since Reconstruction.
Racism and sexism for those Democratic elites who have doubts in Vice President Kamala.
They have to reduce everything to DEI. Donald Trump has never been elected to anything.
You have to be able to fairly critique the vice president of the United States.
That is actually true. The only reason Donald Trump was president at all was because he got the electors during the Electoral College, like, divvying up of things. He lost the popular vote. If our president was decided by who got the most votes from people who decided they wanted that person to be president, Hillary Clinton would have won by a pretty large margin, like a surprisingly large margin, in 2016. But the Electoral College exists such that it is possible that one person can get less votes than the other and still win the election. Republicans argue this is fair, because, well, it's the main way they win elections, because they don't have a statistical national majority support. But what they do have is a lot of land. If states that are very low population and very rural and thus very red count as much as, like, if two states that are, like, very rural and red and have, like, 10,000 people per square mile, or per, like, 100 square miles on average, I don't know, that state very well might, those two states combined might be worth as much as, like, California, right? California and Florida and Texas are actually worth a lot, to be fair, so California is always, like, a fairly guaranteed, like, shitload of blue vote, or blue electors to, the Democrat candidate, but you get what I mean, right? The idea is that because there is so much land that's just hard red states, it's easy to look at the map of the U.S. and be like, man, that's a lot of red. But when you see the population layout and realize most of the country lives in those blue areas, those areas that vote blue, you start to realize, oh shit, this is not fair. Like, the vast majority of America lives in those blue states. But despite that, their votes matter less than the far fewer people living in red states that are super rural. I remember a CGP Grey video showing that it's mathematically possible to win the Electoral College with 28% of the popular vote. That is, like, that would be how Trump would win, I feel. You know, like, imagine Trump wins the election with, like, the Electoral College with, like, 40% or 30% of the popular vote. I think that would actually cause riots. Like, because, like, Hillary Trump, that was one thing, like, that like, a couple million votes, more Hillary had than Trump. Like, that's pretty explicit, but that's still almost half the voters in the country going with Trump. So there was still a pretty fair, even split down the middle. But if, like, Trump wins with less than 50% of the popular vote, dude. Or, sorry, less than 40% of the popular vote, there might actually be riots. Like, actual, like real fucking riots. Because that's not even an election. That's just seizing power at that point.
Not just saying it's the color of their skin or the fact she's a woman.
But it is part of it. Sorry, is it just because she's black?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Also,
well, I know. What a safe bet, though. Guys, there's going to be riots. Yazan, the 2024 election is going to have riots regardless of the outcome. Or is going to have riots? Wow, we could never have guessed this regardless of the outcome. Because there's going to be riots no matter what. Yeah. Pretty safe bet. Pretty safe bet. There will be riots no matter what happens.
Did that shriveled ladybug say that Donald Trump has never been elected to anything?
Hey, that's election denial.
They can't acknowledge the popular vote thing unless someone directly brings it up to them, so they're not gonna. So they're gonna pretend like Trump they're gonna pretend like he's saying that Trump didn't win the election literally.
Reverend.
I am not familiar with that term, but I will get back to you.
Sorry. Election denial.
Oh, like misogynoir.
It's just really cringe. It doesn't matter how much Steven Crowder does this stuff, by the way, YouTube will never ban him. Not until he stops making them a lot of money.
I heard that
misogynoir
for the first time today, too.
Yeah, his
misogynoir from that half-ass house party haircut that you cannot do with that high of a hairline because it just looks like you've been green screened improperly.
No. Hey, speaking of hairlines, are we going to just graze over the fact that we had Black Larry David at the end of that?
I know.
Yes.
Little Barry David.
That's my...
A lot of this is just going to be cringe.
Oh, what up, Steele? When he was the RNC chairman, he was like, I got a new blog. What up, Larry David?
It's just, I need to be very clear here. There is a higher chance I get my channel permanently deleted off YouTube than Steven Crowder so much as get a strike for what he did here, despite this video having gotten taken down. Steven Crowder is, like, actually untouchable. YouTube will not enforce the rules against him. Like, and it's fine if YouTube doesn't want to have rules, but they better not, like, start striking me or left-wing content creators for calling out stuff that is supposedly against the TOS of their platform, but the original uploads generally, not in this case, but most of the time, remain untouched.
He was the least effective RNC chairman ever. It was a few months, I believe.
He's on the show called Curb Your Ebony.
All right. Yeah. I think you've seen enough at this point. They really don't have anything to go against Kamala or Tim Walz with other than racism. And it's like, it's so bad, dude. Mind you, before YouTube took this down, let me remind you of what the thumbnail of this video was. Oh, here we go. Here's the thumbnail of the video. I think this was up on YouTube for like 4 days before they did something about it. And what they did about it was simply take it down. Mind you, this guy's been, like, caught on video abusing his wife. Like, this guy's done countless racist rants and bits and skits that have been taken down off YouTube. And the most, like, whenever YouTube does go after him because he does something so bad, they just take it down and very temporarily demonetize him. You threaten their bottom line, and that's the actual unspoken rule you'd be breaking? That's true, yeah. Talking about this stuff, like, from my position, making them far less money than this guy does, is the actual rule that's being broken. I'm threatening their bottom line. YouTube's, Google's, right? Anyway, if somehow you enjoyed my coverage of that just awful fucking cringe, it was like a bomb of cringe dropped on us, then consider leaving a like. Every thumbs up, no matter when, where, or what you're watching from me, really goes a long way to help the channel, so I super duper appreciate it from you guys. And of course, consider subscribing and ring the bell icon and commenting down below. Both those things really help the channel a ton, so thank you to everybody who does that. Follow my social medias down below if you want to see more from me, including joining my fan Discord via the link in the description. It is totally free to join, of course, and don't forget, I host game events, call-in streams, watch parties, and I announce all my new uploads and streams there, so you won't miss anything if you are in there and you see me go live, or you got notifications on. You won't miss anything. Zan, you got some fluff on your nose? Do I? Like, on the bridge of my nose? I did. I had some fluff. Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying, thank you so much for watching, regardless of how you watch the stream, or how you supported the stream, I should say. If you want to support me directly, financially, and you've got the money for it, you can always donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or any of the other means that you see in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. I hope to see you again.